I have finished another sketchbook and I'm delighted to share this with you. If you enjoy my videos, please hit subscribe, like and comment. Thank you very much. Welcome to another sketchbook tour. I've just written 33 on here. I had to double check all the numberings on my sketchbooks because I completely forgot to do this one. I actually started this in March 2022, as I've written down here, and the sticker I got from Kosher Kern when I did her niece trip, and also I've written in the front page, if you're not making ugly art, you're not doing it right. And that is a really important lesson for those who may be on the early stages of their sketchbook journey. So first of all, I used this sketchbook initially just to try a few things out when I was trying to write the final projects for my book. These were freesias that I bought from my supermarket, and I was just playing around testing out the different yellows and how it would merge into the purple. I didn't include this in the book, but it was still very interesting for me to try it out. Now, if you've seen my other videos, you'll know that I've been trying to get into urban sketching, and I had purchased Liz Steele's Watercolor on Location course, and I'd only watched the very beginning classes where she talks about values and just using one colour contrast, and this is what I was trying to do here. This is the backs looking towards King's College in Cambridge. I had a brush pen with me. I tried to draw without getting too bogged down in details. I was a little disappointed, but I think I put a lot of pressure on myself. This was the mathematical bridge, also in Cambridge. This was a lot better. I think there's a lot more movement, and I like the sweep of this bridge down here. And it gives a better sense of place, I think. These were statues that I saw in the Fitzwilliam Museum. And another story, if you didn't know, is I did a year's art foundation course in Cambridge, and I spent literally every other week in the Fitzwilliam Museum painting, and it brought back good memories. The day after that, I went over to Ely. This is Thomas Cromwell. He originated in Ely. If you don't know about him, he was involved in the English Civil War. And this was a cottage that was near to the museum, and it dates back from 1550, and you can see all the timber framing. And again, I'm just using my brush pen. It's okay, but I didn't really have much idea of what I was doing. This was the front of King's College the next day. A little bit better. I think the contrast is getting there. I stopped using this sketchbook until September of 2022, and this was at Gatwick Airport. I was waiting for a flight to Nice. This was like 5 in the morning. That's why people were lounging around, and I really enjoyed it. I hadn't really drawn people in such a long time, but I felt compelled to capture some of these scenes. You can see there's somebody lying on the bench just sleeping, which I thought was a good angle. Now we are getting into France. This was Menton on the 6th of September 2022, and this is a statue in the local square. Excuse me, that was a demo that Kosher showed us, and it was the first time I'd really used pencil with watercolor. I was trying to lay down just areas of colour, blocks of colour, but I think I was overwhelmed because there was so many buildings in this particular stretch of the road that overlooked the sea. And it's okay, but I think I could have done a better job. These were actually done at the airport on my way home. My flight was severely delayed. I had already started by laying down colour while I was actually doing the art walk with Kosher Kern, and I finished it off literally at the gate waiting for my plane to arrive, and I'm really pleased with how they turned out. If you compare it with the early stuff I showed you, definitely a sense of place, you understand what's going on, and there's a feeling of light and contrast. This was done at Carnes Market on the spot, overlooking all the fruit sellers in about 20 minutes, so that was quite an achievement for me. I actually have a process video of a sketch that I created from Cannes Market done in watercolour and coloured pencil. It's in the link in the description. This was a little bit later on the same day when we were waiting for the ferry to take us over to the island where we were going to have our lunch, and there was a whole row of these huge yachts, you know, probably worth tens of millions of pounds, with security guards walking around them. And this was only done literally in about 5 or 6 minutes, waiting for that ferry. Not the best depiction of boats. I don't really draw boats that often, but I thought it was a really great attempt for me, and painting on location was certainly coming along. This was later on that day. We were trying to mix up different shades of green and brown since we were going to paint a grove of trees. If you look at my other sketchbook flip through, you'll see what I created. I've put a link in the description for sketchbook tour number 30, where you can see the grove of trees that I painted. The next morning, this was like 5 or 6 in the morning, I went over to Nice, the beach, and this was the view on either side of the beach just as the sun was coming out, and there was a yacht coming in, and I wish I'd drawn that yacht in. This was done on location. I thought it could have been a little bit better. It doesn't quite read as the landscape that I saw, but I think the colours are pretty good, so that's a plus. Again, these were Nice Beach, done on the last day. You'll see that I tend to paint in the flesh tones, and then after that paint is dried, I will then use a Uniball brown pen to capture the rest of the figure work, the line work. And this would have been at the airport, waiting for that flight home. Now, these I did when I did get home. These are scenes that I captured as photographs that I saw when I was walking around. This was David Niven's house. If you go to Instagram, I created a little reel how to do this, and if I show you, hold on, this page, all of these pages started off as just rough acrylic or acrylic inks laid on like this, and then I collaged on these pieces, and the rocks here are collaged on, and also the boats in this scene. It's Villefranche-sur-la-Mer. Yeah, this entire section is collaged, and that little red house is collaged, and the rest is a really simplified version of the scene. I adore working like this. I've done a lot of collage in my past, and this was just so much fun. There's so much energy in this. Like, you can probably, if you've been there, you can probably recognize them as the places. Now, this was London, St. Paul's, very near the Tate Modern, so on the South Bank. And these queue of people were waiting to see the Queen, who was lying in state. She had actually passed away when I was in France. And my friend Nick Squirrel and I decided we're already going to meet up in London, and we didn't want to join the queue, but I thought it was important to try and capture it, so I brought my sketchbook along. These people were moving at walking pace, so I just laid down the colours once again and used photographs, and by looking up now and again to see the movement of the people, I was able to lay down the line work using pen. This was the Queen's funeral, and it was done off the television. I took photos of various scenes that were happening right there and then. I would like to say that this was probably done in about 15-20 minutes, and these were done very quickly as well, probably in about 10 minutes. And that's one of the great things about having a tiny sketchbook. You can fill the page quite quickly. I decided to sketch the next two trumpeters inside Westminster Abbey because the angle was really unusual and I just wanted to do something a little different. Now, this is one of my favourite bits because of this guy's beard. They do look very solemn, and they're carrying the Queen's coffin over to Hyde Park Corner. This is where she was taken over to Windsor, and this is probably my favourite piece in the entire sketchbook. Again, done really, really quickly, but I was able to capture it so fast, and just the impression of the line of people against the backdrop of Hyde Park. I really surprised myself, so I'm pleased about that. And I looked through the rest of the photos I had on my phone and I saw these Mounties and they looked great, the flag and the Mounties, and also I think that would have been like a beefeater, I'm not sure what they're called, but I liked picking out the red. And the final page was the very recent Remembrance Sunday. This is the cenotaph near the Houses of Parliament. So it would have been around November the 11th, and the autumn colours were coming through, and I liked this edge here. I wish I hadn't gone over it because the contrast between the trees against the graphic line of the cenotaph I thought looked great. So there you have it. My smallest sketchbook to date. I hope you enjoyed seeing that. I want to end by saying that these are my practice pieces. I practice an awful lot. I've been doing this now for over 7 years, and that's the reason I can paint fast. And it's really important for you to see a small sketchbook where I've made mistakes, I'm not happy with some of the results. Don't be fooled by some amazing pieces that you see on Instagram. You will never be able to live up to your expectations of what you think you should be doing. I think just go with your joy and paint what interests you, and don't look at Instagram for validation.